is Philadelphia, where Jesse informed me just a second ago.
Michkov is a healthy scratch tonight.
Wow.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, John Tortorella. I shouldn't start with John. A lot of the Flyers reporters.
Who did it?
A lot of the Flyers reporters were not disagreeing with the decision because at 5-on-5, he has struggled as of late. And John Tortorella made the decision to send a message to him that, like, hey, you're still a rookie here. You having down moments at 5-on-5 consistently over the last few games isn't good enough. And we can healthy scratch you because you're just entering the NHL. So they've made that decision tonight.
So I have him on my fantasy team. So I am moving.
Not anymore. You don't.
I am moving him off and putting him back on the bench because I had put him in instead of Logan Stankoven. Not anymore. Now I want to say this. I think this is an interesting move by the coach, but I think it's a distraction. And I think it's a distraction that serves a purpose. Kevin Kurz, who's a Flyers journalist for The Athletic, I think really nailed it. And this is something we hit on yesterday's show, how bad the Flyers goaltending is. And this takes the spotlight off that. So he says that the splits are glaring. So Samuel Ersson, who is out with a minor lower body injury, is 4-2-1 with a 268 goals against average and a 901 save percentage.
4-2-1.
And 901's not bad.
No,
it's winnable.
That is enough to get you in the playoff conversation.
You would be far and away the best Oilers goalie.
Damn.
By 15 percentage points.
Gosh darn.
But the backup goalie position has been nothing short of an embarrassment. The Flyers have yet to win a game or even earn a single point in the 6 games that Kosalov or Fedotov have played. Get this. You ready for this? 0-6-0 with an 8.42 save percentage.
Combined.
So you remembered we did this yesterday?
Yes.
Okay.
I did say that.
Yes.
I did say that. And I think that the Philadelphia Flyers, you saw Torts, right? We ran the clip yesterday of Torts being upset after the thing.
And we have one of him today explaining Michkov.
Okay, and I'll get to just hold that for just a second.
Yes.
Here's what I think's going on here. You can't play Ersson if he's injured. You're going to get dummied if the goalies continue to play like this. How do we, send a message? This kind of kills two birds with one stone because it takes the pressure off of management, which Kerr says essentially is... he said it's the first major error of this new regime, not having good goaltending. It's a solvable problem to have a relatively okay backup goaltender, and they don't.
It feels like they moved heaven and earth to... Fedotov's making nearly $3 million.
I know.
In mind. After playing basically no games, they moved heaven and earth to get this guy. He hasn't panned out. Kolosov hasn't panned out. It's bad, man.
It's bad.
And there were goalies to be had on the waiver wire.
And maybe Michkov does deserve to sit, but I think that Michkov sitting is a bigger story than their backup goaltender situation. And I think that this takes the pressure off of the goaltenders. And maybe, just maybe, they get a good start. Now, Jess, you want to run that clip? Because I would love to hear what Torts had to say about it.
Here's Torts when asked about Michkov.
Goalie for tonight, start?
Coley.
And any lineup changes to mention?
Richie goes in, Michkov is out.
With Michkov, you've talked about this being a process for him. This is probably just the next step in that.
You just answered the question. Yes.
With Richie, I know he had a good camp. He was here pretty late. What did you see from him in camp that you're hoping translates?
Yeah, he had a really good camp. Skates well. Has played very well down there. Brings some offense. As I told him in camp, I'm hoping. I want him to take a chance offensively. I don't want him to worry about making mistakes. I want him to take a chance offensively. So he gets an opportunity.
When you went back through the tape of the last game, were there any positives that jumped out at you when you had a chance to digest it in full?
Yeah, first half, I saw there were some things that we had talked about being on our toes, but we just didn't sustain it at all.
Apologize if you answered any of these questions already, but I just see Matt.
Someone just walked in.
Tonight.
Yes.
What is it that he's not doing that you want to see him do?
Just part of the process.
Is it more a teaching thing?
Just part of the process. I told you guys, with young guys, they can watch games too, as far as development. So it's trying to help them.
Was this filmed in my Nonna's basement? Can we can we
wood
all
paneling is
address the
interesting.
elephant in the room?
It's not done. It's not done.
Can we? No,
You've
it's
got to say process.
Steve.
it's in a wood paneled cottage outhouse. Like what? Where is this room in the Wells Fargo?
It's clearly the Philadelphia's Health Club and Spa. Flyers Health Club.
What
and Spa.
hunting lodge is this?
Here you go. Go ahead.
He should have shot this interview in like one of those reflective jackets.
Why did that bother you so much?
It's my daughter's basement. I know that place smells like marinara. Oh my god. Anyway, sorry, Jesse. Continue.
Oh gosh.
That's that.
All right.
It
For
smells like rosemary, basil, and garlic.
For everybody listening that doesn't know what Steve's talking about, John Tortorella is standing in front of a wood background.
as far as development. So it's trying to help him.
With Anthony, you talked a lot about his speed during the preseason, and he brought that. He got some power play time too in the preseason. Obviously, preseason's a little different with the lineup structure. Is he someone who could slide into that position?
He'll be on the power play.
He'll be on the power play. What is it that you want to see from him in that
Score.
role?
Going back to the last game, you said
Hey,
the
John,
first
next
half, you guys
question.
were on your
Oh,
toes.
come stai? What? Where is this room? I need to know where this friggin' wood-paneled room
I
is.
thought the way he handled the questions about Michkov could not have been more John Tortorella.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to give you this answer about its process, and I'm going to give you nothing else.
Well, and is there anything more triggering to Philadelphia fans than the word process?
That's got to be an accident, but that's hilarious.
Yeah, like I don't think that Philadelphia fans are interested in your process.
Okay,
Find a different word.
find a different stat, plus minus. Like, here's why Michkov is sitting. Okay, we can go through all his games this season. First game, nothing happens. Okay, no goals, no assists, blah. Next game, he gets his first career point with an assist.
Oh, that's cool.
-2. Next game, he gets 2 goals. His first 2 goals. -1. Next game, he gets an assist. That's great. -2. Next game, he doesn't get a goal or an assist. -1. Next game, he gets an assist. Even. Next game, goal and an assist. What a response. -3. There's one outlier game. In fact, now that I look at it, it is through the first 13 games of his NHL career, the only plus game Michkov has ever had. Goal, assist, +4.
Wow.
It's his only plus game, but since then, zeros across the board, even. Zeros across the board, even. Zeros across the board, even. Zeros across the board, -3. In his last game, an assist and even. A lot of pucks go behind Matvei Michkov. That's not entirely his fault. I would need a Jesse Blake down. All of those.
You know what, Steve? You know who else should be sitting? Cale Makar, also a -8.
He's a -8 on the season.
Yeah, and Cale Makar, by the way, has, and I'm looking at it, 23 points in 13 games. He's a -8, though.
That's crazy.
Should probably sit. Doesn't understand 5-on-5 hockey.
So
If we're
you're-
going based on plus minus,
No.
a completely unfair and ridiculous.
I'm
stat.
hearing you. I'm
Plus minus
listening.
Can't be our bar.
Right.
Like,
I'm
let's-
listening.
Right. And listen, I get what I'm not even criticizing Torts here. I have not seen Michkov's last few games. I have no idea. This is why I bring it back to if you're wondering why his stats are so bad, on at least on that side of the puck, all the pucks get behind him. Well, it's because they're playing goalies that are not NHL goalies. I would even argue that half of those goals probably don't go in if they have a goalie with an 890 save
That is
percentage.
a very valid point.
And I look at the same thing with Cale Makar, who has also had a whole lot of NHL quality goaltending until Justus Annunen showed up, who's been actually a nice little fantasy pickup for me. Thank you for picking that.
You're welcome.
That's kind of the problem here. The problem is we got a guy who's on a bad team, and the goaltending's not an easy situation to fix. And let's scratch him. He can also learn from this, and this is part of the process. He can watch the game, but it also kind of takes the pressure off them with the goaltending thing. Let's be honest about this.
It's you can't. This is the number one story with the Philadelphia Flyers today.
Yeah,
But it only buys you a couple days.
exactly. And good for Richie. I'm glad he had a good game.
Sure.
Sounds like he had a good game.
Anthony Anthony Richard is who he's talking about, right?
Yeah.
Richard?
Yeah.
Where's he from?
Quebec somewhere.
I'm going to go with Richard.
So he had a good training camp with the Flyers, and then now he's getting the shot for Michkov. And it's interesting because he's like a very journeyman NHL player, played 24 career games and spent some time with the Bruins, and now just because of his good camp, he's getting called up. But he's getting called up and put in the same position where Michkov was. Like he's going to get time on the top power play unit, which I think is an interesting way to call somebody up that wasn't good enough for your lineup, but now you're inserting him right into the top power play. So I think that's a curious decision by management and Tortorella there. But
He's having an ass kicker of a start to the season in the A.
oh yeah.
4 goals, 5 assists, 9 points in 7 games, and Adam, most importantly, +3.
So there's a good read. Like he's earned the call up.
Yes.
Like I don't
Yeah.
think we should take away from that. But with Michkov, it's interesting because this has been brewing. He got benched in the Blues game that the Flyers played a week ago or something, a couple days ago. And then he got benched in the Hurricanes game as well. So John Tortorella has been planting the seeds that this is coming. It shouldn't be a surprise, but it's also, do you agree with the treatment of young players and that this is how the development should go? Because you should expect growing pains from young guys learning the NHL, and is watching from the press box and learning there and giving this hot AHLer a shot the right way to treat your development project. So that's the question.
His opinion is yes.
Yeah.
One criticism, not criticism, but one note that we made with Matthew Nyes last year with the Leafs was the amount of games played. He's coming from a college schedule. The KHL is better, but it's not much better. They don't play as many games. Maybe it's okay to sit them. I'm also going to say this. That league is not where you go to develop players. It's
clearly not.
I don't think it's good for them. Like, obviously good players come out of that league, and obviously good players play in that league.
Yeah.
He got benched like basically every game to start last year with, I think it was SK St. Petersburg. That was stupid. Then he went to Sochi and was like their best player. That was great. I wonder about like Ivan Demidov as well. Like he's consistently playing on the third line of his KHL team with Evgeny Kuznetsov.
They have different agendas in the KHL in terms of who gets ice time.
And
Their agenda is to win KHL games.
Yeah.
Which is not the same as developing an NHL player.
Exactly.
Well, and they'll also sewer their own team just to screw over an NHL team. Like they'll scratch guys that are like, oh, you signed a contract? Well, we're not going to play you.
Winning the trophy is secondary to politics.
Yes.
So what do you guys think, Adam, what do you think about the process of getting a young player up to the playing talent that you think he's capable of and up to NHL speed?
What I respect about John Tortorella in this situation is that John Tortorella is going to challenge you to be better. And Michkov might be better than, I'm just going to pick a player.
No, just go with Anthony Richard.
Bobby Brink.
Who's okay?
Rink with a B.
Sure.
Bobby Brink. Michkov might be better than him.
Bobby Brink.
Yeah. But the goal for Michkov isn't to be better than Bobby Brink. The goal for Michkov is to be one of the top 10 best players in the league. The goal for him is to be better than Kirill Kaprizov.
Should win the Calder Trophy.
Exactly. And so I think Torts is going, listen, this season's probably already kind of fucked. And, the fact that...
Based on what you outlined with the goaltender.
Yeah, they're starting Kolosov tonight, even though they're 27-year-old, $3.275 million goaltender for this year and next.
Oh, he makes more than I thought.
Yeah, Fedotov is not starting.
He makes like what Joseph Wool makes.
Yeah, dude. And so I look at this and I go, okay, this is Torts challenging a guy, and I'm sure if you are a hockey player and you're proud and you kicked ass in Sochi and you were the best player on Sochi last year, you got some pride, and you're 19 and you're full of piss and vinegar, and I like that John is challenging them. Now, one thing I do want to put out there is that there are a lot of questions about John Tortorella and young players. And how does he develop young players? And we talked about it a little bit yesterday when we brought this up. Like, oh, is John Tortorella in the hot seat? I don't think he is, because I think he's the key guy. But I think he's actually the face of the franchise until Michkov takes over. But I do question how much time John has left. And that's not that it's this season or it's next season.
In Philly or in the league?
But no, just in Philly. Okay. He'll be back.
Yeah.
But he's a 4-year coach. And how much longer? Really, truly, he's a 4-year coach.
I can't remember him ever being in a situation like this.
Oh, with a rebuild? No. And
the Rangers, nope. The Canucks was a one and done gong show.
Yep.
The
Lightning,
nope.
The Lightning he did 6 years. The Rangers he did 5. Vancouver he did 1, and then Columbus he did 6. Okay.
Oh,
so
Columbus,
yeah.
right.
So okay, he's a 5-year coach. This is his 3rd year in Philadelphia.
Year 4 is when you talk about it.
I just
You
think
start talking about it.
I think that John Tortorella will go as Michkov's development goes. And so John has as much to lose in this situation as Matvei Michkov. So they better make it work. Does that make sense?
It does. I also want to say if you're rebuilding, you do need to give opportunities to players who deserve it. That's really important. And to take the conversation away from Michkov, Anthony Richard really deserves it. And everyone's trying to find the market inefficiency. And I mean, one of the market inefficiencies, I think, is dudes in their mid to late 20s who you just missed.
He's 27.
Yeah, think of a Stefan Nason type. A guy who, he was a first-round pick, and he played, and then he stops getting called up, and he's and he plays one game with Sheldon Keefe in the Leafs. He goes to the minors, goes off, wins a championship. He's on the Hurricanes' top power play unit, and now he's one of the most productive players on the New Jersey Devils. And guess who his coach is?
Sheldon Keefe.
Guess who likes him now? Guess who wouldn't dream of taking him out of the lineup? Richard, if you look through his AHL career, it is a solid mix of meh to fine until, wham, 2022-23 with the Montreal Canadiens. He puts up 5 points in 13 games on a dog-ass team. But the reason he got called up, 30 goals, 37 assists, 67 points in 60 games. And then last year, he had a nice little cup of coffee with the Bruins, was really good in the minors. He's really good in the minors to start this season. He had a great training camp. The new coach likes him. And he's not necessarily a bang and crasher. This dude is 5'10", $186. That is a guy.
There's a reason Tortorella is going to use him on the top power play unit and instead of in Michkov's place.
Yes.
Scores.
You know? Yeah.
Squeeze.
Yeah,
Hey,
think,
what's he going to do? Score.
Yeah, I think the interesting conversation is how John Tortorella goes about developing young players and how his coaching style fits with these players. Because we saw it last year where he was scratching guys. He scratched who was it?
Couturier.
Well, yeah,
That's not a young player, but
when did he scratch the captain last
sending
year?
a message though,
and because that was somebody who's struggling. I think it was mid-February when we were talking about that, and
he went 20 games without scoring or something like that. Yeah,
yeah.
Bad.
So this is kind of how he does business, and I think it's fascinating to watch how it hurts or helps the development of a potential superstar in Michkov.
I want to say I'm using NHL rosters on Puckpedia. And you should, when you go to Puckpedia, click lineups and then click the team you want to look at. And I love this because I'm looking at, Cat Friendly was cool because you had the cost of each player, but you didn't have which line they were on and how much they cost. And I'm looking at the Flyers' fourth line here, and I could see who's playing on it, how much they're worth, and what year of their contract they're in, and all that stuff.
Ooh.
And I didn't realize how expensive the Flyers' fourth line is.
Who do they got?
Nick Delorier, Noah Cates, and Garnet Hathaway. So $1.75 million for Delorier, $2.65 million for Cates, and Garnet Hathaway makes $2.375. So we complain about David Kampf at his $2.5 million. I'm like, that would be that's.
I like all those players.
Yeah, they're all good
Cates
players.
is a guy who I want to say as a rookie he received Selke votes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it just, I don't know, it hasn't really panned out.
Also, deliciously, Travis Konechny is in the last year of a 6-year deal, and he will be a UFA at the end of the year. I'm just throwing that out there.
And he probably wants bank, and if he doesn't get bank from the Flyers, trade deadline.
Too bad he doesn't play center.
I'll just say that you're allowed to have a bunch of money on the fourth line when you're not paying the rest of your lineup any kind of money.
True.
You know,
True.
The Leafs got a lot locked up in 4 guys.
Yeah, there's nobody making 10 or over.
I'd rather be the
10.
Yeah, there's nobody.
It wasn't even 10.
They got
12.
One guy's making
13. 11. That's the Leaf.
Couturier is the highest paid. 7.75.
I'd love 10.
Bobby Brink.
Bobby Brink is a great hockey name.
Felipe.